Hey there guys, Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's update is for Wednesday the 27th of February 2013. It's a little bit after the close and we're going to take a look at the market action that's happened in the S&P and we'll take a look at the Asx200. Before we do that though, I just need to remind you that the website and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. Alright guys, so firstly, looking at the smp500. Okay, looking at a 15-minute chart here, we can see that clearly the smp500 broke down in last night's trade. We broke that 1497 level, and the S&P broke down fairly violently into the mid-1480s. And then we've seen a recovery up to this neckline. We go to a 5-minute chart and just see what happened in the today's action. Okay, so we can see here that the S&P, after breaking down, we had a reactive move straight up to test this neckline, and then we came back down in this little bull flag pattern, and then we had a break of this top channel line to create a bear flag pattern. But the interesting thing about this pattern is you could easily say, well, we're looking at an inverted head and shoulders pattern where we would have a left shoulder here, a head, and a right shoulder with a breakout. But we haven't broken out yet. We haven't seen a break of this neckline. And you might be thinking, well, hang on a second. You've been talking about a bearish pattern. Well, I have been talking about a bearish pattern, and I think it's highly likely. It's probably a 75% chance that we will come down and head lower. But I don't want to be unrealistic. I've got to give you guys the bullish point of view as well, and the bearish point of view. And as far as a bullish call, you know, if we were to get over this area, we'll be probably looking at a move to around 1510, 1511 area as an expected target from this little pattern. But guys, necklines, just remember, they put up a strong fight. We may get over this area temporarily, but I think overall the chances of this little pattern beating our larger pattern on a 30-minute chart, we look at all this price action, it's barely pretty much on the cards that will probably come down. Now, if we just grab that measurement and we add that onto where the market broke down, just to give you a refresh, we're looking at the 1466 level as a target, and that's a minimum expected target. Now I'm hoping that we get there over the next couple of days. Reason being is because I simply want this red line to break. I've actually been short since around the 1522 level, which is up here somewhere. So in tonight's session, let's see if the S&P comes back down and starts fulfilling this target to our head and shoulders top. The only other thing that I will add is it's about 5:30 here Eastern Standard Time, and the futures are currently sitting on about 1492. So the fact that the futures are trading a little bit lower than what the cash rate closed at, that gives us a little bit of an indication as to what potentially may be happening in tonight's trade. Although guys, I really wouldn't rely on the futures market, because that's just a bunch of traders betting one way or the other, and you don't want to get fooled into that type of thinking. So it's pretty exciting times at the moment. Let's see if this pattern plays out, and let's take a look now at the Asx200. Okay, looking at the hourly chart of the Asx200, yesterday's video we identified a level of rising support, and well, we just reached this area temporarily. In fact, we had an intraday low down to this long-term orangey brown line of level of resistance that we once had, and now that the Asx200 has come up, we've come back down to backtest this area, rallied on back up again, found a level of resistance on our channel line a couple of times. Now we've moved back down again to test this brown line. Now we've just sort of rallied on back up to retest this top channel line that we've had drawn on the chart. So guys, we closed right on this line today. You could say that we closed just a little bit higher, But this triangle pattern, we've measured the depth of this, and I've been a little bit more conservative with the expected measurement from this pattern. The textbook does say measure the first reactive move down, and that would be taken from this point here, and we would have another 20 or 30 points or so. But I've decided to measure this in the middle, just so that we have a realistic target if the market decides to do what we think it will. Now, if we see a clear break of this green line in tomorrow's trade, well, we could expect then a move down to roughly test this neckline down here, down to this level of support here. Or if the markets for some reason rally in tonight's trade, well, then we have to look at the bullish scenario, which would equal a minimum expected target all the way up to around that 5,110 area. And you would think that this would be a rising level of resistance, and we would also have our channel line as an area of resistance as well. Now, other than looking at this blue channel that we've been watching for ever since the 15th of January, defined by this bottom blue line here and this top blue line, take a look at this bottom green line and then take a look at this yellow top line. It's almost as if the Asx200 has got another channel that is sloping upward. Now, guys, when we see a sloping upward market, even though we have got overextended here temporarily, it usually forms a bear flag pattern when you see a clear break of its bottom line. So this bottom green line, if it breaks, and when it breaks, we should see some pretty heavy selling pressure. We've got that first area of support around that neckline, around that 4,930 level now, I'd say. That's pretty close. And guys, if this level was to break, we would then head down to tag on this blue line. Now that blue line is around that 4,880 level. So the clue is, if we see the S&P 500 break down in tonight's trade, watch out, because I think we're going to see a pretty fairly substantial sell-off in the Asx200. Now, from this triangle pattern, this measurement is only a minimum expected target. Sometimes we stop at our minimum targets and get a bounce, but just keep in mind that if we start to see that selling pressure in the US market, well, we're likely to see the Asx200 break down. And guys, every day it's looking more and more like a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder that's formed here. That is also a possibility. One thing I actually do want to point out, which is a very interesting thing, if you've been following my videos now for the past 8 or 9 months or so, you'd know that I actually had a target in play for the Asx200 on a long-term chart. Now this is a daily chart here, and that gives you a good indication of where we're at now. I mentioned in one of my videos, or maybe 2 or 3 videos, that we had this long-term inverted head and shoulders pattern, but to be honest, I wasn't too sure whether this was a genuine inverted head and shoulders pattern or not. Pretty much because of the symmetry of this pattern. It looks like one, but at the same time it looks a little bit funky, and I wasn't really willing to make a confirmed call. But I do regret that, because if we grab this neckline and we take this out onto where the market broke out, you can see the Asx200 has hit that minimum expected target exactly. Guys, I promise I haven't moved a line on this daily chart. The only thing I've done is I've actually just changed a few colors here and there. But overall, guys, I haven't moved this neckline, and we have hit that target exactly and resisted off it. So the S&P's done a similar thing in the past when we've seen those lows of 2009. If you do some research, go back to the inverted head and shoulders pattern that we had back then, around that 1100 level. That neckline measured down to the head, we've seen a minimum expected move to 1350 level, and the market hit 1350 and resisted straight off it. So guys, technical analysis is definitely something to have in your bag of tricks. Alright guys, I'll get off my soapbox and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Just be on defense at the moment and we will discuss tomorrow's market action. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching.